Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Aquí tienen el horario para hoy, martes el 10 de enero, or for you B-days, miércoles el 11 de enero. You did have two assignments due for today, the welcome back quiz and the interview activity, Descanso de Invierno. Your homework for next class, just guided workbook page 67. Daily objective for today, identify the difference the difference in use between ser and estar, and your warm-up question has to do with those two verbs. Let's take a look at that together. For today's warm-up, provide a short answer response with the correct form of either ser or estar according to the sentence context. You can use the T-chart above here to assist. You have the conjugations of the verb ser, which is the verb to be, and also the verb estar, which also means to be. And then you have the situations that call for each. We're going to get into that later. For now, just use those conjugations and answer the following questions. Number one, ¿Cómo eres? Is asking, what are you like as a person? Right? How would you describe yourself? So use three adjectives and use the yo form of ser in your response. Yo soy artístico, sociable, y impaciente. Yeah? Three adjectives to describe what you're like. This is the first question you guys answered at the beginning of the year. Question number two, ¿Cómo estás? How are you as a person? Not how are you as a person in terms of your, your characteristics, but rather your emotions. How are you doing? ¿Cómo estás? So use two adjectives to describe feelings and emotions. For example, yo estoy, that would be the yo form of estar. Yo estoy bien y feliz, doing okay and happy. ¿De dónde eres? Question number three is asking, where are you from? Yo soy de, and then wherever it is you're from, the place that you were born. Yo soy de Brentwood. And then lastly, number four, ¿Dónde estás? Where are you currently? Yo estoy en casa. Yo estoy en la clase de español. Yo estoy en la escuela. Yo estoy en mi clase favorita. All right, so answer those questions 1 through 4. ¿Cómo eres? What do you like as a person? Your characteristics. ¿Cómo estás? How are you feeling today? Your emotion. ¿De dónde eres? Your origin, or where it is you're from. And then ¿Dónde estás? Your current location. All right, and then for the rest of the agenda, we're going to go over the new notes of ser versus estar on page 86. Do a little guided practice and notes from the PowerPoint here. Some pair practice out of the textbook, and then an opportunity to begin your homework, which again is guided workbook page 67. So if we take a look at page 86, and the T-chart there on the calendar is really illustrative of the differences in use between ser and estar. I think we'll actually start with that T-chart, which highlights the differences between the two. And then it's reiterated here in the notes on page 86. So ser and estar both mean to be, but they're used in different situations. Ser is used to talk about what a person or thing is like, so characteristics. I'm referring to the notes here down below. Where someone or something is from, its origin, what it's made of, and then also relationship in terms of ownership, possession, to whom something belongs. So you have some examples here on the right. Ricardo y Lola son actores. That would be characteristic or occupation, right? Son muy simpáticos, another characteristic. Son de Nicaragua, this would be an example of origin. Este anillo es de plata, either origin, to be made of silver, plata is silver. So origin, or you can make an argument for characteristic. And then el anillo es este anillo, or es el anillo de Juana. This is Juana's ring. So that's possession. And that's articulated in the notes there under the acronym doctor, standing for date. We use ser to express time and the date. Occupation, someone's job or vocation. Characteristic, like in number 1. You're describing what something is like. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 8:30 de la mañana. When we express time, we use the verb ser, and then origin and relation to talk about where someone or something is from, and ownership. Estar, on the other hand, is for more temporary descriptions. To talk about how someone or something is doing in a moment in time, how someone feels, their emotion, where something is located at any given time. So, back to those notes there in the calendar. Position, location, action, condition, and emotion. Position and location, where something is at, like number 4. Action, we're actually not going to go over. That's for the present progressive, the ing form, which in English is the verb to be plus a verb in the gerund, or ing form, present progressive. So action, we're not really going to see many examples of for the purpose of where we're at, but condition and emotion we're going to see. And that's like number 2, when you're describing someone's physical or emotional state. All right, so those are our keynotes for today. The video here will play in class. Which reviews the notes that we just went over together. And then after that video, we'll go ahead and go to the PowerPoint, which, again, just summarizes what we talked about. Ser and estar, both meaning to be. We use them a lot. I mean, you guys have seen these verbs in countless situations. But just to have a better understanding of when we use which and why is our goal for today. So there you have the conjugations. They're both irregular. Irregular in that you don't just remove the ending, the ER and the AR ending, and then add O, as, a, amos, an, or those regular endings that we looked at for ER and AR verbs. So just a reminder of what those conjugations are for each. And again, we talked about the uses of ser, some examples, some adjectives used to describe characteristics, some examples of origin, occupation or identification, characteristics, time, the date, and talking about when events take place. That's not an example that we have in our notes, not an example that you're going to find in any kind of exam or homework. Possession. Now for estar, really those main contexts are talking about the location, or position rather, and then the physical or emotional state of something. There you have adjectives to describe feelings, emotions. Location. I would say physical, emotional state. So continuation of feelings. Opinion you're not going to look at. That's not going to be an example we're going to find. So, practice. You have some practice there that we'll do. Mi amigo es de la República Dominicana. We're using ser in this example, because we're talking about origin, to be from some place. And the way that we know we're talking about origin is the use of the preposition de. De is always used with the verb ser because we're talking about being from some place instead of the verb estar where you're talking about being located at a particular place. Son las 10 de la noche. Sorry for the audio effects there, pretty loud. This is an example of time, right? Son las 10 de la noche. Ser is used with time. We'll do one more. Los libros son de la profesora nueva. This is an example of possession. So you got a lot of different practice examples there, and you're looking at those clues that come after, right? The way that the sentence ends is going to be an indicator of whether to use ser or estar. And again, expression of doctor, which is a great acronym because doctor is an example occupation. Place is certainly an example or a synonym rather for location. All right, and then for the rest of today, we have pair practice and then the homework. Homework I'm not going to go over in great detail because there's a video that's already created for the assignment in Canvas. You can check out that video for greater explanation. But really straightforward. The guided practice always tends to be pretty straightforward, where they provide the notes for you, and then for part A, you're choosing the correct conjugation. So it's very similar to the guided practice we did in the PowerPoint notes there, where you're taking a look at the way that the sentence ends, if it's an example description of date, occupation, characteristic, time, position, location, or condition of motion. For part B, you're using either the verb ser or estar, and actually just son or están. So they give you the conjugations. You just need to figure out whether ser or estar should be used. And again, the answer is going to be dictated by the clues at the end of the sentence. For part C, you're provided with the word bank there. You just need to choose the correct form of ser or estar, given the greater context. Let's take a look at exercises 19 and 20, and then we'll wrap up. For exercise 19, you are filling in the blank with either the form ser or estar based on those context clues that I've left highlighted for you. So for example, number 1, Alfredo y Juan son chicos talentosos. Talentosos is an adjective. We're describing what something is like. And that's why we use son. Son miembros de la banda de su escuela. To be a member is an example of an occupation. You make an argument as a characteristic as well, but certainly either occupation or characteristic, and that's why we're using ser once again. Do one more example together. Ahora los chicos están en casa. They are at home. Casa is a location, and that's why we're using the verb estar. So that's exercise 19, filling in the blank with the correct form of ser or estar. By the way, number 5 is just the infinitive form, ser, estar. You don't need to conjugate it at all because you already have another verb conjugated before. This is the verb ir, the verb to go. Two verbs together, the first gets conjugated, the second, as you can see there, stays in the infinitive. Lastly, exercise 20. ¿Cómo están tú y las otras personas en estas situaciones? So you're describing what these people feel like based on the circumstances, using the verb estar for this exercise because estar is used to talk about how someone or something is feeling at any given moment in time. So you have to choose the correct form of estar, and then one of the adjectives that's provided in the purple box. Just say how these people are feeling, given the context. So for example, Carlos toma el sol en la playa. Carlos is sunbathing at the beach. Carlos está muy contento. So you can see two steps. Step one, conjugate the verb estar according to your subject. And again, in your notes, you have the different conjugations of estar. And then step two, pick the adjective that you think best fits the description in terms of how these folks must feel. Carlos is at the beach. Carlos is very happy. Está muy contento. Aburrido is bored. Cansado is tired. And a lot of these, the rest of these are cognates. Contento is content or happy. Entusiasmado is excited or enthusiastic. Nervioso or nerviosa, these could also be feminine as well, right? Is nervous. Ocupado is occupied or busy. Tranquilo is tranquil, calm, or chill. Let's do the first couple together. Elena y María van a participar en un concurso. So Elena y María are going to participate in a competition. ¿Cómo están? How are they feeling? Well, it depends. There are a lot of different ways you could go about this. But you're going to begin with Elena y María. And then just like the example here, what's going to come after the subject is the verb estar. Since we're talking about Elena y María, that's a plural subject. So we're going to use están. Ellas están. Maybe nerviosas, nervous. Entusiasmadas, they're excited. I think either one of those would fit. Elena y María están, E-S-T-A-N, están entusiasmadas o nerviosas. Número 2. Vas a un baile con el chico o la chica más popular de la escuela. So you are going to a dance with the most popular girl or guy from school. ¿Cómo estás? How do you feel? This is in the to form, right? So if it's in the to form, your statement is going to be in the yo form. The yo form of estar would be estoy. So number 2 would begin, yo estoy. It depends on how you feel. Maybe bored because they're hella popular and they're going to pay attention to everybody else except for you. Contento, you're happy to be with the most popular guy or gal in school. Entusiasmado, something you're excited for or nervous for. Well, I don't know. A lot of those could work there. It just depends on your reaction to this hypothetical situation. Number 2 is in the yo form. Number 3 is also in the yo form. And so on. Tu hermano is going to be talking about your brother. Ustedes están en una clase que no les interesa. Ustedes, the response is going to be in the nosotros form. And then number 6, tu mejor amigo, your best friend, you're going to be talking about your best friend in the él, ella, usted form. So that is, and I apologize for the long video, I highly doubt there's going to be many of you watching this video, but it's for those select few that actually follow through and take a look at it and utilize it for help. So I appreciate you sticking around for this long in the video. That's your homework, guided workbook page 67. That is our agenda for today, taking a look at the difference in use between ser and estar.